Okay, good morning, world. How are we today? All right. Well, we are back in the swing of it this morning. It has been school term holidays, and I have not had to be driving around early in the morning for like the past week and a half. So yeah, I had a little break. But this morning we are back on, and look, to be honest, I mean, this is not a really planned chat. It's more of a unloading, I guess, of just my thoughts over the past week and a half. Yeah, just my recent thoughts, a little bit of a decompress session. And yeah, so where should we start? Look, to be honest, in the last week and a half, you know, I really feel that I possibly, you know, I think I've like overdone it a bit this year, and I think just a lot has happened, and I've overdone it a bit, you know, like I did have a baby, and you know, even just the lead up to having a baby really takes it out of you, you know, like the pregnancy and getting everything ready, and, you know, cleaning your house a million times because you feel like you have to before a baby could possibly ever live in your home. You know, all this, and yeah, I feel like my nervous system or something is a bit shaky, is a bit on the rocks, and you know, look, I'm not really, at this point in my life, I'm not really one to race off as soon as I have any kind of you know, issues going on in my life. I don't want to just band-aid it up with you know, taking a medication to make you not feel the lows as low, and but you also don't feel highs as high. I'm not really about that, because I do think that's just a band-aid, and you know, I would rather like sit down and recenter myself, and like look inward, and you know, actually try to heal things. And no, I don't think you always necessarily need to engage with a psychologist for that process either. Yes, 100% for some things in your life, or you know, if doing it yourself isn't working, yeah, sure, 100%. You know, but for most things in life, I think that people just need to like sit quietly by themselves, you know, as often as they can, and sort of talk to yourself, sort of assess yourself internally, on how you're going, how you're holding up, what's going on inside of you, you know. And another thing like that's come up in the last week and a half is I watch sometimes on TV the SBN channel that we get, and it plays the Jimmy Swaggart, you know, the Family Worship Centre broadcasts, and just gonna pull over quickly and let this truck go by, and Christian music and all sorts of things like that, right? And anywho, so yeah, I've been watching that a bit lately, and you know, there was one session, let's just say, in particular, where they were also doing, it was like at a stadium, and they were also doing a baptism, you know, to save as many people as they could reach, even through the television. And I was christened as a baby, but I have thought about getting baptized. I have thought about like redoing it as an adult, and if I'm honest as well, actually not all of my children are baptized either, christened, and it's just one of those life things, you know, like I know it should have been probably a lot bigger of a priority, but life got in the way. And anyway, so I'm watching this you know, mass baptizing, mass saving of people, and you know, the speech given beforehand was that you know, it was God that was going to come down. It's not him. It's not anyone in particular. It's God working through somebody like a conduit, and can, you know, reach people even through the television. And you know, you will feel the Holy Spirit, and you will talk in tongues and all this sort of stuff. And I was holding my baby at the time, and you know, we were standing up in the lounge room, and you know, I was repeating everything that he was saying just as everyone else was. And then when it got to the part where it was like, you know, and so it is done, basically, I saw on the screen, you know, people were crying, people were talking, you know, I couldn't hear what they were saying. I could see their mouths moving, like as if they were talking in tongues, which, you know, they were saying, you know, talking in tongues is like talking in different languages that you don't even know, but all of a sudden just the Holy Spirit will come through you like that, and you'll just start speaking in other languages. And it was almost like I had felt rejected, or, you know, like just disappointed that I didn't seem to have the same experience as what I was seeing other people having. And it made me, not like reconfirmed, but like re-brought up in me this concern that I've had for a long time about being a lost lamb. And you know, like I'm really like speaking honestly, truthfully from, you know, my heart here. You know, I guess that for quite some time in my life, you know, I feel like I have, you know, over time I have really, you know, for years and years been just constantly trying to better myself, trying to serve others more, trying to live my life in a good way, trying to be, you know, just always empathetic to other people and thoughtful of other people. Maybe I'm not doing that enough. You know, I mean, at the start of this year, I said that I was going to be, you know, starting up consistent charity donations, you know, the ones that can get like direct debited out of your account every week, and I still haven't done that yet. I haven't. And I feel really bad about it. Every single time I see an ad come on TV and you know, for one of these charities, and I feel so terrible because I really want to do it, and like for multiple, and I just haven't done it. Like maybe today I can just do it, you know, just look up these particular charities and just sign up, because it's, you know, it's getting out of hand over here, you know. I mean, half the year's gone now. And yeah, and then, you know, just times where I do actually just feel lost, you know, where it's like you know, when you try to like see your future, you try to see yourself in the future, like what that might look like, what you might be doing, where you might be, etc. I've had so many different ideas about what I'm doing in the future, what that looks like, and it's like I just don't know if it's gonna be that way, you know. Like I don't feel certain. I don't have certainty in my life really to do with much, you know. Everything sort of seems up in the air, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I've been told by other people before in my life, you know, that knew me from childhood or whatever, and I think I've said this before in a video, that, you know, they've referred to me as like being a lost girl. And I like took offense to that, because, you know, I didn't want to be lost. I wanted to be, you know, a strong character. I wanted to be, you know, sure of who I was and stand for and what I'm about, what I'm doing in my life. And for somebody to say that you seem lost, maybe that's why it's like a thought in my own head anyway. You know, maybe it's like a seed that was planted in my head, and now here I am nurturing that seedling, you know. It's like growing in my head now that I'm a lost lamb, and I just don't want to be. I wish that, you know, I could just have, you know how people say that like they hear God talk to them and all that sort of stuff. And I've always sort of thought like, oh yeah, God talks to everyone through the heart, you know, he deals with the heart. And so he puts it on your heart what to do and all this sort of stuff. But some people say they hear him talk. Even my one of my daughters the other day actually told me that she heard God's voice, and that he told her to be good. And so that next day, or that day, I can't remember if she said it was through the night now or if it was in the morning. But anyway, she was like much better behaved at the shops and things, what we were doing out and about. And I had complimented her on her behaviour, and she said, oh yes, that's because God talked to me. I heard God's voice, and I know it was God's voice because there was nobody else around, and nobody else sounds like that. And God told me to be good. And I thought that was so beautiful. I thought that was so special. I truly believe that she heard what she heard. And, you know, yeah, I've heard other people say that they've heard God's voice, and sometimes I wish I could just hear God's voice. I wish God could just like talk to me and maybe reassure me of some things and give me guidance of some things, so I feel like I have something more like made of stone to go by, like a compass, you know. And yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm doing it wrong, you know what I mean? yeah, I wonder if, anyone else feels like that, just like their compass is broken or something, and, just wishing, just praying for guidance from God, to not feel like such a lost lamb. And, to feel like a lost lamb isn't just about, it's not just about not knowing what your future holds and what you should be doing for a career or something like that. It's more as well, isn't it? Like, it can be to do with everything in your life. It can be to do with how you're coping with particular things. Like even the school holidays, when I'm talking about my nervous system and everything, like I just, I'm feeling really a bit overwhelmed. Like, even when we caught up with family for lunch out, and it just seemed like really hectic and too much for me to deal with. Having, one of my girls, she's 4, and so she's my second youngest, aside from my baby, and she was just running all over the place. And it was one of those places, one of those establishments that have like adult gaming rooms with the pokie machines and stuff, and they didn't have doors to like section off those gaming rooms, and of course, to a little child it looks like a time zone. Like it looks like an arcade machine situation in there. And so she's thinking, yep, arcades. And she's just taken off and she's run in there. She's much quicker at 4 than me holding baby. And I don't even know where her dad was at that point. Maybe he was just talking to the family. I can't remember. But anyway, and then the staff is like telling me off and saying, that I need to control her, and she's not allowed in here, it's against the law, and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like I understand, but it's sometimes a little bit hard to control children at this age. And like, look at all the bright lights and sounds coming from here. Like, hello, like our table's right there. She thought it was like a gaming room, for kids. And anyway, and then even that staff member went and like bitched about us and bitched about me to the manager. And then the manager like came over to the table and had a go at us about my daughter. And this is like a lunch catch up that we're catching up with both sides of the family for the first time in so long, like months and months. Like we live far away from each other. It's we can't always get together, and then sometimes people are busy, and sometimes people are working, and sometimes people are away or sick or whatever. So when we finally all get together, it's like it's a big deal. And here we are, like, my daughter's running around the place. It's all stressful enough, and just trying to control her. And then I've got the staff member yelling at me, and then I've got the staff member dobbing on me to management, and then the manager coming over and yelling at me. And it just like was all really overwhelming. And I didn't enjoy that catch up really at all, because the whole time I just felt like my nervous system was just like I was on the brink of just like breaking out into tears at any given moment. And then like the car park there was crazy at the same time, because of there was football on at the Oval right there too. And it had been raining for days, so like the ground's all muddy. And getting in and out of the car park was like, even when we were leaving, just to leave was like a 20-point turn of the car before we could get out of the car park. It was just, I just felt like it was all too much. And and being school holidays, I'm trying to take the girls out as much as possible, and you know, one day it's cinemas, one day it's shopping, one day it's out for lunch, one day it's the park and library and and I'm trying to like have days of break in there and everything. But yeah, honestly, after that lunch, I've been at home now for like 3 or 4 days after that, and I haven't gone out with the girls because um, it was just too much for me. Like, I needed to recalibrate after that. I needed to like calm myself down and recenter myself and sort of analyze what's going on over here. And I think that's really important for people to do. And yeah, today we're actually going out. I want to go to Bunnings and get a hot glue gun and a bunch of craft things. And yeah, I mean, fingers crossed it's not a nightmare. You know, my 4-year-old girl, she's a lot, you know. And it's funny because, you know, when you're a parent and your child is like that, it's a lot to deal with all the time. You know, she's always sort of doing stuff and not thinking about her safety, and you know, just to have to constantly worry about your child's safety and their behavior out in public, that they're not going to trip old people over, or you know, just anything, you know, so many concerns really, is a lot, you know. But then you think about that in terms of like where that kind of mindset and that energy and everything, that personality would get her in life, like as a teenager, as a young adult, as an adult in her life. You know, I feel like it would actually do her really well to sort of be like a risk taker and not have as much fear as what other people have in life. You know, people seem very compounded and constricted by fear, you know. I think that's a big thing for me. And so, you know, sometimes I look at her and I think, you know, Christy, don't squash that out of her, you know, because it's probably going to be a really good thing that she has in life, you know. Yeah. And anywho, I am home. Wish me luck today. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.